Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Would I be the a-hole if I drove 400 miles to confront my older brother? I am one of 4 siblings, 2 boys and 2 girls. We're all between 30 to 42 years old, and 3 of us are married except for our one middle brother. Middle brother has always had problems in school and socially, and when he got older, it was being able to keep a job and pay his bills. Our mother would always guilt the rest of us into taking care of our middle brother financially once we all moved away. We all agreed to equally contribute so the burden wouldn't fall to our parents who wanted to retire. Our oldest brother always hated this idea and resented our middle brother for being able to get away with being lazy his whole life, and blames our mother for lowering the expectations for this one sibling and always calling him her sweet sensitive boy. The rest of us were never able to get away with the same things our middle brother did, especially the older brother who had done everything for him growing up. About a year ago, my sister and I stopped contributing equally to our middle brother due to financial difficulties, but didn't tell our oldest brother. He and his wife make significantly more money than us and figured it wouldn't make any difference financially to them, and didn't want our middle brother to get literally nothing. Anyway, during a family Zoom call, our mother casually brings up that her sweet sensitive boy needs more help than he's been given from his family. And it came out that older brother is the only one paying, and he blew a gasket. He called us opportunists, liars, con artists, and lots of other things, and finally said, "F you people," and got off the call, and hasn't spoken to any of us since, not even our parents. He has missed 2 payments and middle brother is freaking out. My parents and I tried reaching out to his wife because middle brother will be kicked out of his apartment soon, unless we pay. She makes as much money as older brother, if not more, and can easily pay but refuses. She called us crazy for even asking her to go against her husband like that. Now she has stopped taking our calls. We are out of options and are considering driving the 3 states away to confront older brother into helping his family. My own husband thinks this is a bad idea and that we should let our middle brother sink or swim at this point. Before you ask, our middle brother was tested extensively years ago and found he was neurologically typical but sensitive, hence my mother's nickname. Would I be the a-hole if I drove all the way to physically confront my older brother? Information. Number 1. Middle brother did have a job before all of the COVID closings, but it was part-time and never enough for both rent and essentials. 2. I misspoke by saying confront. I was really going there to plead for my older brother's help. 3. It turned out to be a bigger deal than I thought because, unknown to me, my older brother had also been partly paying our parents' mortgage and our other sister's student loans, and has stopped as of July out of spite. I guess my older brother doesn't care what happens to the rest of us, as long as he and his wife are doing okay. I'm the a-hole for lying and I accept that, but not for trying to help my middle brother survive when our older brother is fully capable of helping his family, just unwilling. Edit. I'll be honest, almost 1K people telling me how effing terrible me and my whole family are is both overwhelming and untrue. It's not like we put a gun to our older brother's head, and he fully volunteered to help our parents with their mortgage, since they did pay for his college, so I stand by that being 100% spiteful bullshit. As for my other brother and sister, they can pay their own way. I agree that it's unnecessary. The last thing I'll say, and I know it doesn't matter because everyone's mind is made up, is that if the situation were reversed, I would be happy to help my family if I had more money than everyone else. But maybe that's just me. Final edit. I am an a-hole. I get it. My older brother and his wife aren't on Reddit, so they hopefully won't see this. Knowing him, he would want to defend me, because that's the type of brother he is, and I know I wouldn't deserve it. I will work on composing a heartfelt apology in the hopes he will forgive all of us one day. He really is a good brother. Your last edit made it even more obvious that you're an a-hole, OP. Your older brother sounds like such a good brother. You admit that not only was he paying for your middle brother, but he was also paying for a lot of other things too. Yet you have the guts to call him unwilling after he stopped paying his share for your middle brother, even though this was only after he found out that you and the rest of your siblings had backed out long ago. But of course, none of you feel bad about it because he makes more. Even if he does, that doesn't mean you all get to milk him dry. You all owe him a big apology. And as for your middle brother, your husband was right. Stop enabling him. It's time for him to sink or swim on his own. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. It's time for your brother to get to work. You have no right to demand that your older brother pay for your younger slacker just because he can afford to. You aren't paying. Why should he? I would not blame him if he never spoke to you again. Stay out of it or find the money yourself if you think it's necessary. Don't try to guilt someone else into helping support a lazy person. If your middle brother can't work because he's disabled, then he should be getting SSDI. It doesn't sound like he qualifies because he is just lazy or difficult. I am baffled that OP thinks I would help if I had that kind of money is anything but slamming brother's head on a table to climb up their high horse. But you don't have that kind of money, do you, OP? It's so easy to pop off about what you would do, but you're utterly blind to how much your family has been taking advantage of him. I doubt very much you would happily accept being used, abused, with no consideration or gratitude until you pass on, and will 100% of your estate to your family of grifters. No, none of you deserve a dime more. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. Family doesn't treat family how you all have collectively treated your brother. By cutting you all off, he is finally standing up for himself. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not forcing my husband to do hands-on childcare yet? Husband and I have a 2-year-old son. We both work full-time and have a nanny that comes in the mornings while my mother handles afternoons for us. Recently, I asked my sister if she could watch my son for 2 nights, as I'll be going on a business trip during the week. My mom will be out of town and the nanny doesn't do overnight work. My sister is a freelancer with a flexible schedule and says she's always happy to watch my son for me. She has 3 middle school-aged kids and she's taken our son a few nights in a row before, when my husband and I were out of town. But this time she got kind of hostile with me over how it's my husband's job and he needs to be the one doing the night care. My husband, like a lot of parents, isn't super into the baby stage and prefers not to take on the bulk of the hands-on parenting yet. He's really excited for the kid stage to start in a few years, but prefers a more traditional parenting dynamic for now. I took a full 3 months of maternity leave, so by the time I was back to work full-time, I already had a great routine down with the baby. And my husband pointed out that it was much more logical for me to handle the things I was already good at, rather than stress out our son by leaving him with someone who wasn't an experienced caregiver, as opposed to my mother and sister and me. I've always been as encouraging with him as possible to take on more childcare, but no matter how much I tell him he's a great dad, and doing it differently from me isn't doing it wrong, he insists that it's best for our son to have an expert handling things instead of someone who is still learning and therefore obviously won't be as good. My sister says I'm mistreating my son by denying him time with his dad because I'm enabling my husband being an abjectly shitty father. I was stunned by this because I feel like he's a great dad. He was super supportive during my pregnancy and talks all the time about all the stuff they're going to do with each other once my son gets big enough. It's not like he refuses to spend time with our son or complains about him. Plus, he's the one pushing for us to start trying next year for the next baby. I just don't feel like our situation is out of the ordinary, or that my husband is any worse a dad than any other dad I know. All of my close friends with kids also work, and I don't really notice their husbands being any more active about parenting than my husband is. And honestly, my brother-in-law seemed to be the same way when my niece and nephews were baby-aged. My own mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she handled pretty much all of the parenting. Though I guess our dad didn't end up stepping up the way I'm expecting my husband to. My sister keeps saying, well, how do you know he'll actually make an effort in a few years? And why would you give him another baby to ignore? Which is really messing with my head. But I don't think I'm being an a-hole by having a traditional parenting dynamic. OP, you and your husband are the a-holes in the story. Your sister did nothing wrong. She was just spitting facts. How can you think it's normal for a man, a father, to not be involved in taking care of his child? It doesn't and shouldn't matter what age your child is, he's the father. He should be able to care for his kids for 2 days while you're gone. I don't understand how you can enable his behavior. Your husband can learn to take care of his child if he wants to. You should also want him to. I think you should re-evaluate this OP and have a conversation with your husband about it. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. What kind of nonsense is this? Into the baby pot? Ma'am, that man is responsible for this child at every stage, not when he feels like it. You've let this go on for way too long. It's more than his turn. Your sister was right. This is not a traditional parenting dynamic. This is toxic and unhealthy, and it's the reason the older generations have so much family strife. Make that man do his job. What kind of man doesn't want to wipe his kid's butt? You and your husband had a kid. It's half his. Waiting for the fun stage so you can step up and be a parent is ridiculous. What's going to happen if you have another kid and you're stuck with 2 kids under 3 and the older still isn't in the fun stage for your husband? Are you going to be a single parent or rely even more on your mother and sister to do the job of your husband and raise the kids? Tell your husband to cop on and start actually taking care of the child you both brought into the world. Hey, guess what will happen? He'll get experience. And definitely do not bring another child into this equation until you sort out your shit on the first one. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend to shut the F up after she insulted my sister's thighs? I'm 30, and my 12-year-old sister is living with me right now because mom and pops are vulnerable, so it made more sense for me to care for my sister for the time being. She's a really great kid. And to be honest, I feel in a lot of ways like she's my own kid because my mom and dad don't speak English. So I kind of had to raise my sister in ways that they couldn't. Hard to explain, but I'm sure anyone with a secondary culture will get what I mean. My mom and dad are great parents, but having an English-speaking person to guide you through shit when you live in an English-speaking country is invaluable, in my opinion. And my sister trusts me with stuff she won't necessarily trust my parents with. Anyway, my girlfriend was FaceTiming me and my sister walked past in shorts and a t-shirt because it's hot. My girlfriend waited until my sister had left the area, but not the room, and made a face and said, maybe feed her less, OP. Her thighs are kinda chunky. I saw red and told her to shut the F up. Just came out my mouth. And immediately ended the call. My sister is a bit chubby, but for F's sake, who says stuff like that about a 12-year-old girl? Literally, everybody I know has been texting me that I'm a piece of shit boyfriend and that how can I disrespect my girlfriend like that? I'm expecting an apology from her, but to my shock, everybody is expecting me to apologize. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. Feed her less? Who talks like that about anyone? Who talks like that about a 12-year-old girl? Who says that to their boyfriend about his kid's sister? Your girlfriend is out of all sorts of lines. Do not apologize. Could she be telling people a convenient version of the story that makes her sound better? I don't see how anyone would see you as being the one in the wrong. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend is definitely the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It's so heartbreaking when kids are ashamed and insecure about their bodies. I really hope your sister didn't hear what she said, because that can be pretty damaging. You're a good brother for shutting that down right away. I was an incredibly skinny kid, but always had thunder thighs. Hearing people's comments got to me, to the point I was eating around only 200 calories a day, if that. I couldn't move on my own. It hurt so bad. I'm so glad your sister had someone like you. Everyone sucks here, except your sister, of course. Your girlfriend obviously should not be making shitty comments like that about anyone, let alone a 12-year-old. You shouldn't have told your girlfriend to shut the F up, and instead could have expressed yourself in a more eloquent, meaningful way. Obviously, people see red from time to time, but that doesn't mean you're safe from being an a-hole just because you were provoked. Sounds like you and your girlfriend need to communicate in a more healthy fashion, and your girlfriend needs to not be such a dick.